Well, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a 2006 Honda Accord with the V6 in it. It's got valve cover gaskets leaking, so let's get to it. We're going to start by taking this plenum off. In order to do that, we're going to take this intake tube off and a bunch of connectors and vacuum lines that go to it. Full disclosure, if you haven't replaced this in the past, you're probably going to tear it. So you might want to plan ahead for that. This is really common once they get some age on them to get brittle and to tear. So luckily, this one was replaced not too long ago, so it shouldn't give us any issues. But anyway, it's all 10 millimeters, and we're just going to be disconnecting various lines and stuff. So we're going to leave this hose, and I don't know how well you can see it. There's another hose down here on the bottom of the throttle body. We're going to leave those on because those are coolant passages. We're going to take the four 12 millimeter nuts off of the throttle body and pull this back and hopefully not destroy this gasket. Final hose will be for this purge valve here. We'll just take this off down here. And we'll leave the valve itself on the plenum so we can take it off together. Our plenum bolts are underneath this cover. These are the shiny tins. We'll take them off. The plenum bolts are going to be all 12s. You can ignore these two 10s right here. They don't go through to anything. They hold part of an EGR passage on. So all 12s under here. To keep stuff from going in these intake ports, it's a good idea to jam some rags or something down before you get started. So I'm going to start working on, I always do the hardest side first. So that'd be this back side here. What we're going to do is we're going to start trying to get some of this harness out of the way here. There is a 10 mil bolt that is a part of a ground that we're going to take off onto this hook bracket here. We're going to take that off. We're going to take this 10 off. We're going to disconnect our coils. We're going to take this PCV hose off of it. And we're going to try to get this kind of manipulated out of the way. We'll go ahead and get our coils disconnected now. We'll go ahead and yank our coils out. They are held on with 6 mil Allens. Now we'll go ahead and take our valve cover off. It's only held on by 5 bolts, 1, 2, 3, and then in the middle, in the back is 4 and 5. So we'll get to that. We're going to be putting tube seals in this also. Still a little bit of grease on the outside of your tube seal. You can usually just press these things right back in by hand. Gasket goes in. There's a little tang right there that a little nipple on the valve cover gasket will line up to in there. It might take you a couple tries to get it figured out. And also the little flat things go on the other side of the surface. So anyway, that's our valve cover gasket. We'll clean up the engine side and put this thing back on. So we're ready to go back in with our valve cover now. We're using Honda parts on this. If you use like a Felpro are like really, really rubbery. they're kind of like springy, and sometimes they don't want to stay into the channel of the valve cover gasket. So pay particular attention when you're putting this thing back on that you don't catch one of the spark plug tubes with your gasket as you go back on with it. All right, so always just double check it with a mirror to make sure that it didn't fall out before you put your bolts back in. But everything's good, so we'll go ahead and get our bolts started back in. So they're all snug down now, just lightly. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch just to try to mitigate any risk of breaking these things off, because they're kind of long, but they're also small. We'll go ahead and stab our coils back in. Go ahead and get our power steering bracket back on. We'll get our tins into this harness cover. Go and get our PCV line hooked back up. Front one's got this little cover on it. They're little 90-degree tab things. We'll go ahead and disconnect our coils here and get our coils out of it. We're going to take this bracket that has the harness on it loose, and I'm going to take this one loose too, and hopefully that'll give us enough room. We might have to go pop this one loose, but this ought to give us enough room to be able to finagle our valve cover out. Valve cover, same thing. It's 5 10mm bolts. Only thing different about the front one is you got to take this dipstick out. So we got our surface cleaned up now. We'll get ready to go ahead and put this valve cover back on. This one, you don't have to worry quite as much about stuff falling out into the way of it because this is fairly wide open. All right, we'll go ahead and get our little harness back on. Well, that's going to wrap up the valve cover. So let's go ahead and get our plenum back on. All these gaskets are metal. Honestly, they almost never go bad. So we reuse them all the time. Never have any issue with them. Go ahead and start hooking our vacuum lines and stuff back up. So we'll get our booster line on. Or what is this? Yeah, booster. purge. Get our throttle body back on. Go back on with our intake tube. It does help to throw a little bit of lube inside here and here, and I put a little bit on this just because it was a little bit sticky coming out. Go ahead and put our little cover back on here. That's going to wrap this one up, guys. That's all there is to it. This is a very easy job, something that you could easily do in your driveway in an afternoon or on a weekend with your buddies. Super common also. This is all these J motors, especially they're all kind of old now. They all kind of give this problem. So this is a pretty common thing to do, really easy to do. Should have given you a pretty decent walkthrough of how to do everything, but we're going to take this thing outside, pressure wash it down. We already did that before just to make it slightly more tolerable to work on as we were doing it. But we're going to clean this thing off and go drive it, get all the stuff burned off of it. A lot of times on valve covers, the oil is going to run down onto the exhaust manifold and smoke. So especially when you clean it, you'll a lot of times get a lot of smoke. Don't worry about it. Obviously, keep an eye on it. If it doesn't go away or, you know, heaven forbid it catches on fire, do something about it. But anyway, that's pretty much going to be it, guys. Hopefully we earned a thumbs up from you. Let us know what you think down in the comments section. We have new content for you every single week, so consider subscribing to the channel. And with all that being said, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Kidnapping fat white guys.